Welcome to Gaming Under the Influence. I'm Mike, and this is Alex, and we're coming to you once again from Green Dragon CVR in Woodbridge, Ontario, the only place you'll find the latest games to play and purchase alongside over 100 kinds of Ontario craft beer. Like this Guava Goza we're enjoying again from Collective Arts. Goza is a slightly sour beer with a little bit of salt in it. This one has heavy guava.
Wow.
Definitely complementary tastes. I think we talked about it before. Very enjoyable. Glad to be drinking it again.
Yeah, I can really taste the salt.
Yeah, man.
It's weird. It's strange, but it's good.
It's good. Cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
So,
To the end of
about
Gears
today, man?
5.
Yeah, there you go.
Gears 5 is done. Gears 5 is over, and
You sound totally excited about that. You sound totally enthused.
I know, right? The campaign wasn't that long. It's pretty short anyway, but I don't know. I thought it ended far better than, for example, Act 3 was,
Sure.
but I don't know. I don't think it was the masterpiece it's being made out to be on the internet.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, at least just campaign-wise,
Yeah.
you know.
Maybe the package in its
maybe
entirety.
the package in its entirety, like you're saying. Horde mode and multiplayer and all that stuff is good.
If
But
that's
that's
your
where the bastardly monetization stuff comes in. So not really too interested in the multiplayer for Gears specifically. But Horde mode, same, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's value there for, to have fun with friends and stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the campaign was okay in my books.
You thought the ending was pretty good, or?
Yeah, I think I think by the end of it, the last act was cool. The Act 3 I kind of found to be just the worst one in the game, in my opinion. I don't know. It was kind of boring. Just beeline through the campaign. It didn't take very long.
How do you feel about the core gameplay loop? Like, what does that consist in, would you say, in this game?
That I like. I mean, I like the gameplay loop in Gears. The traversal stuff is okay, just getting from objective to your next objective. There's always dialogue, characters talking about what's going on in the story, and then getting to the pretty much firefights and that part of the loop is pretty enjoyable to me. I've always liked the Gears gameplay, so in that sense it's pretty much there.
What kind of progression structure is there, like organizing the moments of gameplay loop? Like, does it change by the end of the game, the loop, or
not really?
Is it organized in a new and interesting way? Like,
no,
you just doing
not
the same
really.
thing
You're just
from
doing the
beginning to
same
end?
thing. Yeah. A lot of times too, it's kind of a little bit shallow. They have those, those segments where you're like trying to cut a door open and be like, oh no, they're coming to defend the Jack. Like the enemies come and you have to kill them, and then he gets the door open once you kill them all conveniently. Right?
Yeah.
There's not really that type of progression. I mean, you can upgrade Jack, and as you go along, you get like the collectibles to sort of beef him up and his skills. But aside from that, it's more or less the same thing. Yeah.
So even if there's not much in the way of actual character progression, there's not even like progression to the loop. Like when you're playing Fire Emblem, and at the beginning it's like you're fucking really defensive, and by the end you're doing something totally different, right? You feel
yeah.
like,
No. That's no. I mean, think about Gears 1 to 3. Did it have anything like that? Any type of progression in the loop of gameplay?
I don't know. I guess it felt like maybe there was like bigger fights, and you fight Brumax and you use the Hammer of Dawn and stuff like that.
Honestly,
But it didn't really feel like it was. It went from like it didn't really feel like the proportion of the encounters changed too much from beginning to end, I guess.
I think even less so in this game, to be honest. Yeah, like there's one instead of a Brumac, they call it a Swarmac because it's like swarm. We encountered
Creative.
one in Act 4 that I can recall. There's not really like bigger scales of like fighting and
No
like
fights that
kind
require you to use mechanics you learned over the
No.
course of the. Nice. I'm trying to figure out something nice to say. I guess it would be cool to see though, like, I don't know, like when I think of the games we played earlier in the year, like Bloodstained, where at the beginning and at the end it's obvious that you're playing the same game, but the moment-to-moment actions you're participating in have changed
That's
so
a
much, right? Like,
crazy change from
progressed,
the beginning.
yeah.
No, this game nothing like that. I mean, aside from Jack, you can upgrade Jack's skills, and he can do different things like that shield. You can get like a shield ability, so you prop up your shield, and then you can sort of take more open firefights without using the cover mechanics as much, right? but that's just a few things that Jack can do, right?
Yeah.
Aside from that, there's not a whole lot that
Like when I think of progression that I enjoy, like I think of even things like in Days Gone, where at the beginning of the game it's difficult to survive and to even move around the map, but by the end you have more ammo and you're confident and you can like go on longer runs and engage with things in a different manner than you did at the beginning. No
Gears,
progression.
You're always out of ammo in Gears. I hate it. You gotta like run around and find the boxes. Oh.
Yeah, that's just in the sense that like I feel like
you know what the campaign is in Gears of War. I'm gonna say it. It is just maybe like an 8 to 10 hour thing that's there. It could go longer if you really go into the semi-open world ship or whatever. Just to complement the package that is multiplayer with microtransactions with horde mode to get you playing with your friends and to spend money and be in that like ecosystem. That's it. And it's competent, but it's not like it's not like a masterpiece or like Microsoft's comeback to gaming. Like it's nothing fucking close to that. Like,
honestly, I was a little bit surprised by the headlines asserting that was the case. So.
That's a stretch, man. Like for real. That
doesn't surprise me to hear that.
I mean, if you're like all about multiplayer and you just love multiplayer, you love Gears of War multiplayer or whatever, then you'll probably like it, and the campaign's there too. Great. It's worth, it's a worthy package of
mess around in for a bit.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a game, and
It just feels though like from all the things that you're saying to me that it was approached as a value proposition and not as like a work of art. They're not like, man, I've conceived this beautiful thing.
But
let's make it.
Didn't we kind of have a feeling that was going to be the case?
Definitely, yeah, I definitely did.
We kind of, are we surprised?
No.
No.
I'm surprised it turned out as well as it did, frankly. That's what surprises me. I definitely thought it would be worse.
Maybe their marketing team was good enough to...
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Or some of the, big action moments. Yeah. It's, I mean, it's fun. It's Gears of War, but, I'm
going to play through it slowly over the next little while at home.
That's worth a run through it.
With my brother, with my wife, normal.
The normal mode, whatever.
Just to see what happens,
Yeah. 1 to 3 is still, like, those are fucking good games.
Yep.
But, they're on a different level.
Yeah.
Comparison to this 5.
Well,
it's unfortunate.
That's all good stuff then. That's Gears of War 5.
It's Gears of War 5. We're not talking about it ever again, so.
All right. Pleased with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that we could say a couple of words too about Greedfall, which I've been playing this week, and we got a full review coming.
I was playing it too.
Yeah, you're playing it too. Thanks to Spiders for the review code that they afforded us, so that both of us can play this game without both of us having to buy it, even though one of us did. And it's really good. My complete thoughts are going to be in the review that we'll put out in the next week or two. But something that I talk a little bit about in the review, I wanted to touch on again. It's like Xenoblade Chronicles. When Monolith Soft decided they wanted to make this RPG, they decided to make it on the Wii because they knew being freed from having to preoccupy themselves with all these technical problems that would come with developing a game for more powerful hardware. They were freed from that and instead devoted their time, to...
so it fits within their budget.
Yeah,
right?
It was a wise decision based on their budget and their team size. And I feel like the choice here was made to focus on an island rather than a giant continent or an entire world with multiple different kinds of places in it. Because the team was aware, just like Monolith Soft, that they would do better focusing on something very specific given their resources. And, in light of this, it doesn't seem to me like, some reviewers are complaining about the fact that the entire game takes place in a single biome. And on the one hand... that biome is still incredibly varied, like we mentioned last week. There's swamps and coastal regions and plains and places that look like deserts, and it definitely is varied enough that it doesn't feel like you're ever walking through the same place, except when you go into the inside buildings. Of certain houses. Yes,
that's another story.
But on the other hand, I don't think you could really fault the game for its decision to focus on a more specific setting, right? Nobody faults the Yakuza series for taking place in those really small sections of Japan instead of in a GTA style city or whatever.
I feel like it wouldn't be fair in this kind of climate because you get, there's all kinds of different ranges of games between, we talk about, there's indies, little side scrollers, and it would be unfair to criticize that.
Because it wasn't trying to be something as big as The Witcher, let's say.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because you could criticize any game saying
truly,
that, right?
Truly, you could.
Shovel Knight. Of course it's not. It's not the... supposed to be like The Witcher.
At the same time, like there is, there's a kind of. I would like to see more enemy variety. There's like a number of different species of animals, maybe 5 different species of, animals native to the island, like not normal animals. In addition to deer and birds and shit, there's also 5 species of weird monsters, and there's different kinds of monsters within each species and stuff. But other than that, like those are the majority of the enemies you're going to be fighting over the course of the game. And like I said, it does make sense considering it's a small ecosystem, takes place on a single island, and that was a wise decision on the part of the developers to choose to do it that way. But at the same time, you can't help but feel like, it would be nice to see, a few more monsters. Yeah,
fair enough.
But where the environment is concerned, I definitely don't feel like that's a problem at all. Like I like the environments in the game. It's really like,
I think one of the biggest things to take away from Greedfall might be, what was their last game? The Technomancer? Does it feel like it's an improvement over
big
that?
time, big time.
Yeah, I think
100%.
that's probably one of the most important things.
Yeah, I think so too.
To come off of, right? Like to see that they've made improvements. Maybe they can, their next game will be even better. Hopefully, right?
It'll be something crazy for sure. I'm excited to see what the studio does because they're definitely, like, if Greedfall is any indication, they've definitely stepped up to fill that role that BioWare like abdicated in making the kinds of games it does now, right? Like it's a BioWare style RPG, very conversation heavy. Like the questing / conversation in my mind is the biggest gameplay component here, kind of like, again, BioWare games.
Maybe that's another thing that we were obviously sad to see the way Anthem played out and the way BioWare sort of going, even with what is it, Dragon Age 4 or whatever. But maybe you're look on the bright side of it, and hopefully other studios like this can come up who genuinely want to sort of continue that tradition, that trend of making games like that.
It's fantastic,
the big boss in the background, right?
Oh, it's cool.
It's crazy how they take essentially nothing and make it into like a fucking really good reason for you to explore the game world. Like they don't need giant set pieces or anything like that to like compel you to
just
explore or progress the story. Like I just did this really cool quest where one of your party members, this guy Petrus, from Thelema, he's like this magic bishop guy, and he comes to you with a personal quest. He's like, hey man, we need to go find out about like the leader of his faction called the Mother Cardinal. He's like, we need information we can use to blackmail her in her dealings with your cousin so she doesn't gain the upper hand and like screw him around too much, right? So you start out this quest like going to find out like about these like weird sex parties this lady is holding for diplomats underneath her palace and shit. And like somehow by the end of the quest, like 50 steps later, you end up like figuring out, after pursuing this line of quest, that like your mother was some native like legendary healer and shit like that, and it all is instigated by some little fucking occurrence where this guy's like, hey, we're gonna blackmail the lady, and like shit just spirals out of control into like this much.
And that was a side, like an optional quest that you didn't even have. Wow.
Yeah, you don't have to do it. Yeah.
Man,
it's crazy,
even just the one at the beginning where before you depart on the boat, he was saying that one of his crew boys went missing. And
Vasco he's
like, I just want to have some closure on that. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to find out for you, dude.
Even that quest, you can complete it so many different ways. You can like dress up like that faction to get into the warehouse, or you can just kill them all, or you can give them
snuck in
potion.
And then
yeah, man, it's
some
it's
wacky
awesome.
shit going on, man. I think I wanted to like rush through Gears to play more Greedfall. Fucked up, eh? Think about that one for a bit.
There's even like, your companions, if you don't do what they like, the story can change like big time, like there's a coup that occurs in the middle. Spoilers, I guess, the military faction there, the Coin Guard, they undertake this coup. And one of your companions is a member of that faction. And if you're not on good terms with him, he joins the coup and like doesn't warn you in time. Things go much worse for you than if he was on your side. And he warns you and he helps you put the coup down. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. Companions can die. You'll be locked out of whole side quests or fail based on who you bring or what conditions are met beforehand. And it's just a really good game, man. Like all of the fucking tension that drives you from moment to moment is entirely based on like, it's not like some set piece or shit that you have to go and actually do physically. It's like
just Gears, right?
Yeah, it's just like based on the fiction, right? Like you want to know what the hell is going on. And that's,
sort of has like a better lore behind it, backing it, right?
It has so much fucking heart, It's like, it's stupefying that somebody sat there and wrote all the dialogue in this game too, because holy shit, there's like so much dialogue.
Like that's heavy.
So much fucking dialogue.
Yeah.
Even the most like meaningless quests will have like pages and pages of like talking.
Where are these devs from?
France.
Spiders. Yeah.
Paris, I think so. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening once again.
Thank you.
Hope you have a great evening.